Halloween begins now, folks. Hello, everybody. I'm Nick Tockert, and this is the Historical Fencing Guild. I hope you're ready for one heck of a season. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, folks. I am absolutely, positively feeling it. And those who have missed this, thank you for the likes. Let me make sure. As usual, they're trying not to let me see all your comments, but that's awesome. The Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by The Simple Sword and The Fighting Axe. Both of these are books I wrote so that you can learn to make other weapons go in a simple, easy manner for your own amusement. Good evening, Foxy. I don't know about you guys, folks, but I am feeling it tonight. The air is crisp. The sun is shrouded and descending across the fields as great lumbering mechanical beasts lay an unspeakable apocalypse to the unexpecting plants. And I am blessed to have the company of my favorite people, my patrons and watchers, setting up for another classic Friday night with yours truly, Nick Tockert, swordmaster, artist, author, retired preternatural consultant, and whoo, thesis. Thank you. I never make the wish thing. I am blessed. Hello, Frog G. Frog G, I hope you are getting ready. I've been laying the groundwork for next Wednesday for Frog G possibly to make appearance to those who are paying attention on my other show, Dice Dames and Dudes, over with the wonderful folks at Red Valkyrie. And you know, any D&D game where you have orcs with rocket launchers and werewolf, the attack helicopter. Oh yeah. It's going to be a good night, folks. I want to talk a live steel weapon, and we're going to start going over I've had some questions come inkling in, and I want to make sure my door is open. There is a slight chance we may have a surprise guest, as I was supposed to have someone come by, but they have not made it yet, and either they forgot that it's Friday and they don't want to interrupt, or Air Werewolf. Dun, da, 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 copyright infringement. Anyway, so I'm not going there too long, a little bit of hum, but yes, folks. Now, oh, Johnny. You should be in a good mood, Johnny. Your boss's new second in command, who's helping whip your army into shape, is far more friendly than the last one. So I think you're doing pretty good. Now, I've got stuff to ask you folks. First off, I need to know some stuff because we're coming up on writing season, and I need to know what weapons you want me to focus in on. Of course, my beloved Patreon members, the folks who pay to let me keep the lights on and keep the bricks up on the old dungeon wall, are the ones who get the most play, but I want to serve you, my community. So don't hesitate to pop on. Come on. Yeah, just give it a minute. I will say this, Johnny, with the sliding scale of that group's alignment, you all might, or some of you may all be on the same side before too long anyway, and wouldn't that be nice if we could do it and kill all the bad guys together and get all the stuff that is the loot that they drop. Anyway, so I'm really, guys, you don't understand. I am feeling it so like in my soul this year. Like I looked out and I was kind of bummed. And it is literally like the sun is setting right now on the first true night of October. Oh, guys. It is beautiful. I am jazzed. I'm putting up decorations and you know, life is good. Elvira has a girlfriend. The world is a beautiful place. And I'm just happy. I'm just happy tonight, folks. I'm a little out of it. I have been looking through, and I have. Oh. See, this is the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I need to know ahead of time. Okay. Sunday is Thesis's birthday. Shoot. See, I have to write a note. Okay, so we'll see what can be done between now and Sunday. I'm kind of in the middle of a whole lot of insanity, but we will try to get. I love guys. I love Halloween, but there is some things that need to be discussed. It's serious, you know. One, as we make our way through Spooktober, and following this, I will crack open that most important of volumes, A Night in Lonesome October by Roger Zelazny, which is available through Kindle. I'm not benefited for telling that. It's just literally one of my favorite books. It's about stopping the apocalypse from the perspective of Jack the Ripper's dog, Snuff. And it is a veritable who's who of horror. Please read it if you love things Lovecraftian, tongue-in-cheek, witty. And if you can get a good version, the art was done by Gohan Wilson, so it's amazing. Yeah, we're off topic, but folks, I'm feeling kind of off topicy because my on topic is a little shady. I like knives. I like swords. Ooh, ooh, ooh. These just that sounds beautiful. Hello, Dark Moon Miracle. But as we go into Spooktober, I tend to kind of party this part because I have a bad habit of having to work toward the end. And then it gets near to, immediately following gets real near to my wedding anniversary. So it's a busy time of year for me. This is something I bought. And I'm going to do, if I haven't done a review video, which I don't think I've done properly, this is the Shroud Priscilla Moncari. I can tell I'm mispronouncing it, but this is my new knife. Knif Sword. This is a live steel sword. There's always another. I actually haven't checked when the full moon is this year, but I know it's not on Halloween. So, to those of you who understand the snuff, Jack, enjoy the year off. We appreciate everything you do to keep the old ones from ingesting the universe. I love this knife, and I couldn't figure out why it felt so familiar till I was looking at something and I realized. And I don't remember if I talked to you guys about this or not. Oh, the back half of my BSR cockpit just fell over. Tell me this doesn't look familiar to anyone. Really, okay, that day has importance to me. So that's interesting. No, I don't see why I would like this blade geometry. I can't see it, folks. Why would this appeal? Now, yes, this does look a bit like Orcrist, not going to lie, but it got me thinking, how cool. Because I don't know, it's a more of an Eastern thing of two swords that sheath in the same sheath, right? But imagine something that looks like Sting, and I love Sting, in the sheath. What just fell? Oh, Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, the quick play RPG for Luke Stone, who is still in ICU, folks. He's in our prayers and thoughts. And you guys really look up Luke Stone. He's an incredible artist, and his family probably could use any financial support you could throw. But I'm thinking, how cool would it be to make essentially a Hobbit double Sting set? So that might be a project I work on designing this year. is making a double dagger version of Sting. That, when one split, looks something like a lighter, more aggressive one of these. I think it's a brilliant idea. And I mean, it means the hilt will be a little interesting, but I may mock it up. If that sounds like something, yeah, Luke's been in ICU for over a month. Actually, we're going real close to 2. I'd have to check the days again. Most of it sedated, most of it on ventilation. I know there's a lot to discuss about, how people feel about masks and the laws and how people feel about vaccines. And, there's a place to discuss that, place not. But I will say, please, this is real. Take it seriously. That's as far into that as I go. But nice thesis. At least know what you want. But because you deserve it. I'm thinking, if that sounds like something you guys want me to try to pursue as winter goes on and gets craft season, let me know, because that would be about half the weight of this, which is one of the most aggressive swords, and I have to call it a sword. I know this is a long knife, but remember, on me, this is as long as, let me get here. I'm being extra careful because I am, this is as long as my arm to my wrist, almost. Like here we go. There we are. This is as long as a knife can be without, 1000% being a sword. And with the extra grip, it feels like a concussive sword. This is a hacker. And I love it. I love the knife. Exactly. The problem is this sheath is problematic because it looks like it should be sturdy and it's not. Further, and this is the kind of further where I'm actually going to be probably making a phone call to the Shroud knife company. They sent a strap to make this a wearable, over the neck, deployable. I bought this expressly because at its price point, I didn't want to use one of my historical weapons when something goes bump at night and I'm checking. Now, I try to avoid how shall I put this, projectile solutions. So I needed something that fits short, that I can use easily. It's not going to slip, aggressive, and frankly has a visual deterrent factor. Because this is not a subtle thing. There's no confusing this for what it is. And the problem is, they not only are there sheath quality issues, and I want to show you a few things. One, we'll just get into this. You can see a little bit, the blade tends to bite into the sheath strap. So that's problematic. They sent me this sling and they sent the wrong one. So it's too wide to fit in the grooves to hang, which means I'm going to be working on a lot of things. So, hi, 24 Eyes, and hi, Feline. Love seeing you guys. I also appreciate you guys stopping by between now and regeneration over at Red Valkyrie's page. But this is a neat knife. Now, I heard an interesting point of, you have to be careful of the length of knife, because a lot of people love the lanyard hole, hence the lanyard hole. I don't think this is a lanyard hole. I think this is a hang it on a hook hole, because if you hang this, actually, I'm not going to unsheath it for what I'm talking about. If I hung this on by a lanyard, so this were tied to my wrist, and it slips, where's it going to go? This is going to mess me up. So while I'm totally okay with lanyards for something short, like, let me pull, and I can tell the one I use because, this guy has a line. It's been slid around a bit, but this is short enough that even if it digs my arm, that would suck, but it's not going to ruin my, it'll ruin my day, but not end my life. But if it was much longer and it slips and can pivot on the lanyard, that can be very problematic if it gets to my more meaty bits. I know there's a lot of me, but I like my meaty bits, folks. So, to those of you who don't know, we are on the broach of certain things happen annually, and I've been cited as not necessarily. Oh no, I've left that on. Okay, well, I'll see about changing the battery out. Doing my part in that. The pumpkin invasion is coming, folks, and all over YouTube, people like Paul Harrell, uh, any number of sword types stand up to stop the pumpkin invasion, and we have to too. So I may be showing some graphic anti-pumpkin content in the near future because somebody has to draw a line in the sand. Carve them before they carve us. But aside from that bit of shenanigan, I want to get to the comments because Thesis says my Fox projects over the fall and winter is finishing up Foxy's sword cane trainer. Yes, and making a sheath for my black gin trainer. Also, yes. Tell me how that goes. I can make some recommendations of some neat stuff that I'm planning to do, assuming I can get the materials. Now Johnny says, remember the sharp part goes on the other guy, not yourself. That's right, Johnny. I will cite a volume, a little bit of lore, of knowledge, of wisdom, dare I say, written by some strange hobbit. And I will put it up here. This is a sword. It has a pointy end and a not so pointy end. Your goal, dear student, is to put the pointy end into the other guy before he or she can do the same to you. Everything else is just finesse. Do you see? Do you see? I know whereof I speak. And the entire book is on finesse, except when it's not. See, we got to keep perspective, folks. You got to keep your guards up, and we got to keep working through. Now, as we go on this year, and I'm like I said, I am excited. I've made it to the storage unit. I've secured some items. If I thought I could make any money off of myself, I'd do it in a cold second. No, I'd please, guys, I do sell that book as cheap as I can through Amazon. Yes, there are Russian bootlegs out there. And if you read it there, I'm not going to ding you. Lord knows I've been broke enough my whole life. I've had to don the eye patch and surf the darker waters of the interwebs. But if you can't afford it, like I said, I try to keep my prices as low as possible so that you guys can actually get a kick on. And I got to talk about this, and I got to talk about something else on that front. And thank you for the comment, Johnny, because you actually knocked me back on track. How weird is that? But if all goes well, I'm going to be writing another volume, and possibly, if there is interest, releasing the Simple Sword in a hardbound. Oh no, you're fine. A hardbound variant. I think that would be very. I mean, it's more expensive, but there's also that thing about if you. All the books I've published outside of my own, and remember, I'm the guy who bought a business printer and was co-binding my own game books and selling them hand collated at conventions, and I hand make my minis. I'm not afraid for the nitty gritty, but there's something about the idea of seeing my books in hardcover that tempts me. I don't know the price point. I don't know the requirements. I'm just looking into it. But I would like to know if you guys think that trying to pursue that is something you'd like to see, or if you think it's farcical, because I'm all about uh, serving the community. That's kind of my primary motivation. with a secondary motivation of having a dang good time, and then a third motivation of it would be nice to make a buck or two because I'm poor. As you can see by my production quality, I make do with what I got. Now let's talk cane swords. This is one of my favorite actual models of cane sword. It's put out by Friends of Cold Steel. This is a cheap cane sword. I've seen it between 25, I've seen it 50. Of course, it's the wood-handled traveler's cane. Now, why do I like this? Well, I'm going to give you some. Why I like it is the grip is very positive in that I like to describe it as having a lightsaber grip. It's not perfect, and there are ways we may adjust this, but but it's held in by 2 spring retention pins. Why do I like this? If you're thinking of carrying any type of cane, sword cane, be careful of its deployment. There are 2 possible problems. One, a too easy to deploy it will unsheath itself at grotesquely inappropriate times. 2, unable to deploy it fast. And 3, which I didn't even add, but I'm going to add because it's my list and I can do that. Can you still use it? Because I don't carry a cane as an affectation. I carry a cane because my legs are dubious and I have balance issues at times. But I do like having these. Now, the head came off of this. We have a message, and that message reminds me that I need to completely mute my phone so that I don't get dinged for copyright again. If it lets me. Here we go. Yes. Boom, boom. Okay, everything should be muted now. Oh, okay. An error message. That's nice. Not really worried about that. But this fell off, and it's just a ball with a nub. So a handyman's secondary secret weapon, which is a substance called Fix-All. It's a super glue style adhesive, but it's a thick gel, and it comes in a little toothpaste-looking tube about this long you get at the dollar store. Huge numbers of my materials have been repaired by that. I re-glued it, set it down, spent an hour watching TV with my hand propped on it to make sure everything stayed in place. It's fine. But why do I like this? The pros, one, this is aluminum. Obviously, it could bend. Obviously, it could break. But it's not plastic. And I've seen some plastic or thin wood. I have thin wood sword canes that are very likely to break if struck. Now, the trick with this is it doesn't want to pull out this way, but just a slight twist. I'll let you see. Normally the motion is done here. Okay, you can see it. It goes away and it pulls. Now, this is not a quality blade. I'm not going to lie to you and say it is. But what it is a single-edged. Now, in cane swords especially, I prefer a single-edged blade because I want to know the edge, and I may have to be using this in incredibly close quarters. I also do like my batu techniques, so this isn't getting thrown away. With a wooden cane sword, you're better to possibly get rid of that. But now this has what I call a sales edge. It has not been sharpened yet. It is, well, I don't know. Let's see. Can I get you see what I'm saying? Very little edge. If I start carrying it regularly, I will. This is one of those made in China, Bud K exclusives. Like I said, this is not an expensive cane. It has surprising amount of spring to whatever steel they use. And it is a very katana style grind. It's just actually a drop point. It's nothing excessive sexy. It's a single edged. But again, the reach, let me do it this way for safety. this is that optimum, you know, a little on the short side, which is fine because I'm fighting indoors. I always plan to be with something EDC, especially tight quarters, because that's where you're going to live with EDC. We live in tight quarter places. It has some overt flaws that I do have to uh, discuss and address. But given that it's usually sub $50, I do tend to like it. I haven't stress tested much because I fully expect that if I ever have to use it, it will be destroyed in the process. And I'm okay with that. This isn't an heirloom tool, and I'm not planning. This is not a I'm trekking across the wilderness and I have to survive fighting my way back across, orc infested lands and etc. etc. This is a deterrent in case I get jumped. And or for certain if need be animal defense. I grew up where coyotes were a problem, and I love coyotes, I love dogs, I love foxes. But anything that tries to come after me when I'm with my child, the game gets very different very quick. So I quite like this thing. The flaws. Let's go over the flaws. First off, I'm going to sheath it. And no, I'm not doing a pretty iodose sheath because, one, I don't have the angle, and two, this is a straight. It doesn't have a nice curve for that. But the flaws are, this is very smooth, so any wetness is going to be slick. The grip is, the rings they enhance the grip, but they don't make it perfect. I wish the head were actually metal or something heavier than just wood. Oh, absolutely. Johnny, I'm a rapier guy. I mean, like my favorite sword, remember, my favorite sword is this. My Bilbao, my Spanish short rapier. I adore this, and if somebody would take and make one of these in a more modern / practical, I would love to see like United Cutlery get a hold of something like this. It's light, it's nimble, it goes. This is the holy grail for me in both trainers and in practical weapons. But because it has a personal history, and it is a Toledo kind of a little more wall hangery than I like to admit. I would be hesitant to use it in a situation where I could lose it because getting it back would be nigh impossible. It fits my tiny hands perfectly. I'm a hobbit. I admit it. I'm a little guy. I can get a double keyhole so it locks in. This was a gift from John Miner, and I've yet to see a sword I like better than this. And a brace of these, especially a brace of these, fencing legal, I would have fun with. But that is my ongoing quest / commission. Now, where did the stick go? The stick is gone. I'll talk about the stick later. This does suffer from some problems. So if I were designing it, the first problem is it's a sword without a guard. As a thrust-based swordsman, because at the end of the day, I'm still a rapierist. Rapierist. Don't lose that middle syllable. There is a threat of sliding up the blade. A lot of people say, oh, no, there isn't. Oh, I have nerve issues. I have grip issues. I don't like that. There is a threat. I know because of the spring-loaded retention pins here, these little nubs, I have a 50-50 chance, as is, of knowing where the edge is. But because it's round, it is hard to define. So I'm going to have to take extra steps to do something tactile to let me know where my thumb to the edge. I'll either have to emboss, engrave some like some stippling or some crosshatch to let my thumb feel, okay, that's the back. Oh, I will absolutely. 1 second. Let me put this away. There we are. I will what I'm going to do, and I love this. I always have note cards in front of me that I can jot things down. Adventurers Blades channel. I will look that up. Thank you, Dark Moon. Now, speaking of that, I have been asked to do a video on the purpose of, from the perspective that is, of I'm an old school gamer. I'm also Swordmaster. What equipment do I think every person should have going into a game? You know, as any character, what what would be Nick's EDC in a fantasy setting? Uh, Practical, mind you, and of course budget, because if you start out at level 1, which I like my players to do. We were talking about the pumpkin threat. We were talking about the pumpkin threat, and there are a couple weapons people have wanted to see tested against pumpkins, and gosh darn it, if I might not just do that. So I'm planning something like that in the near future. But so if that's something you guys want me to do, I might stick it up. I might go in full, like, in, design a character just for that role, as something to overlap my between, part of my ongoing crossing the streams segment, where my sword mastery side talks with my D&D side. And yeah, I'm glad you guys are nice. One thing I love, I have the best chat section of any just about any YouTube show I've seen. You guys are the best people, and I'm so proud and I'm so honored by how you treat each other and how you treat me. And it is a pleasure to, even when I'm tired, to sit down and do the show every Friday. And that's because you find folks make it a pleasure. But I just want to say that. So I'm working on something. If you guys don't think that's too far off topic for this channel, if you feel it's too far off topic for this channel, I do have my other channel. That's where I usually put my art and shenanigans, and that's just the Nicholas Talkert channel. Which, let me see if it will let me have. A lot of people don't know that that's there. I'm gonna set up to try to find that real quick, but I want I want you guys to have access to pretty much all the cool stuff I do, and that's fine too. So, whoop. So I will get that set up in just a second. Here we go. I'm multitasking, folks. Look at me. I am a professional YouTuber. Okay, here we go. Well, no, I haven't been monetized yet. But that is my other channel where I do art. It is neglected basically mostly during the summertime when I'm focusing on this. But as winter comes in, I tend to do more art stuff, and so I'm expecting some stuff for the game side of what I do. But I want to know if you feel it would be appropriate for me to do that shtick here. Yes, I do. Thesis. Does anyone have good resources for Spanish fencing to Strenza treatises? Yes, I do. You happen to have come to the right person. Um, one, I will be contacting you with some manuals and assorted things, but let me see if it's still there. Uh, Stresa project. I believe. Yes, yes, yes. Boom. Copy. I am just, folks, I'm all over being helpful for you guys. Let's see. Paste. Now, that is a great start because what you're looking for the distress translation and research project, a lot of my core things originally came from this site, and there are some others I can send you. Here we are. Yes, this is a good start. Now, if you have money, and I don't normally reference things that might be expensive, but while we're at it, I want to talk about um Palpable Hit Productions. Palpable Hit Productions uh, was set up by Anthony DeLongis, and it's basically a production studio for Western martial arts. Let me see if it's still up. Yes, it is. I don't care if it's secure. I know the site. But and it is a wonderful resource both to start and to continue your pursuit. If, like I said, if you have the money, because they run about $70, Maestro Ramirez has a series on La Verdad Destreza. They're DVDs, and they come with a booklet that will tell you how to make a full grade Spanish magic circle, something I have not yet done because my footwork has been evolving so much. I can't currently rely on this is how my angles are going to be. But so what I did to the folks who don't know, I'm hoping this is coming up right. I threw some links into the comments. Always turn the comments on when you're watching this because the comments are just. But so Dark Moon, Thesis definitely hit up there. Now, one thing that Thesis has brought to my attention, oh, my my job is to be of service to you guys. You have no idea how much it delights me. I hate saying I don't know, but I delight when I can find the resource. I love going, I know that, and send you on to people because I am not, this is going to shock some folks, that I am not the end all and be all of swords. I am a sword master in that I have learned how to operate swords, and technically I'd be a weapons master uh, in such a way that I can teach the basics to others. At one point, many of the belt systems in martial arts worked that way. It wasn't that you were Billy Badass. It was that you understood the fundamentals and that enough that you could and should pass them on to others. To me, that is the only rank that truly matters. Exactly. And my problem is I sample things. I don't tend to deep dive because as long as I'm sampling, I can come back to it and go, okay, I was looking at this, I like this, and find the thread to go down more. I am by nature a generalist. But if you like Spanish or Italian fencing, and I've shared it before, but I will share it once more because it is one of my favorite introductions to Spanish swordplay. Uh, Don, give me a second. Don Puck's Don Puck's Spanish counters. Oops, to Italian. Mumbo Italiano. Uh, fencing. This is from a rapier symposium held by the SCA many, many years ago by someone whose body works properly so I can cite their form and say that this is one of the great. This is literally. Oh, 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 copy. We're gonna lose that. Lose that. Boink. Uh, this right here. If you want an introduction to Spanish fencing and how it applies to Italian fencing, this is the video because it talks about crossing the line. Now, let's see, several. I had direct several. Oh, thank you. I'm really hoping that it's beneficial. I'm planning to work on some more. I had a published schedule laid out where I was going to work on certain projects, and then as they completed, I'd do next and next and next. And with the I have two different contingency business things going on in the background right now, and both of my partners have been affected by uh, by COVID, and that has thrown me right off. Oh wait, let me see. Thesis there are several. Hey, I love it. I would love to I love that it's international. Nothing makes my day more like I just sold a book in another country. That's just it's mind blowing because every once in a while what'll happen is and this is a little behind the curtain so to speak, but occasionally I'll sell a book in Brazil or Germany or Australia, and then a week or two later I'll sell two or three more. Bam, 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 bam. And what that tells me is what that is the forking. People are somebody's getting it. They're sharing the information. Like I gotta have a copy, and it's getting out there. That's what I want. I love the idea that that means somewhere there are people using what I've taught to learn how to sword fight to better themselves and each other. That's what I'm about, and I love it. I love that when I get authors who write me up. I'm writing about a sword fight. I want to make it look good. It's the whole a lot of people saw what happened to Star Wars and they're like, "Can we not have that happen to our franchise?" So, I love being able to sort of comment on the practicality side of things. Well, thesis, if there's somebody really desperate to talk to me and they're on a specific uh uh time frame, hit me up. We might be able to work something out. I mean, I keep very odd hours. So, you know, don't ever just give up if assuming she's an English speaker because I don't have a knack for languages. I've encountered them and I've worked with a few of them, but I will not that is not languages like music are not one of my strong suits. Now, but yeah, if there's something I could be about benefit to somebody, I'll bend over backwards to do it. Uh, when the stream starts, it would be around 3 a.m. for her. She's a career woman, so her hours are pretty specific. That okay? So if it's 3 a.m. at 8 p.m. Okay, that is a 4 plus 7 hour. So that is a 7 hour ahead of me. That means at I could so an afternoon program possibly like 1 p.m. for a special situation would put it at about 8 p.m. for her. So we might be like I said, that is not at all unreasonable. Hit me up in the comments after this is not in the comments, over Messenger or through the Patreon chat. If you guys need a special show, especially for somebody who wants information or access or just something they can bounce stuff off of, and you really think I can be of a help, I'll do whatever I can to help. I'll find a way to work around it. I keep odd hours. Okay? So don't write that off. Now I want to get back. Sword canes have always interested me. However, I'd like to make my own. I don't enjoy the handles on these things. Most are too rounded. Also single-edged. I'm an edgy guy. I need two to be satisfied. That is hilarious, and there's nothing wrong with that. Gall, it's not here. I have been known to make square canes. So use square dowel rod as the main body. You know, you get a 36-inch oak, say 3/4 of an inch square dowel rod. You could make a very nice. I have a gentleman's cane I have made. It is somewhere. You see, I keep canes scattered throughout my home because I don't know when my good days are going to turn into a bad day. So, for my own safety, I keep canes periodically placed throughout the house, or staves. I intend to add handrails as time goes on, but we're working on that. So then it just becomes a matter of it being hollow. So you probably could do like the box metal square stock. I'm pretty sure I've seen that in aluminum, which would be serviceable. And then you could make exactly. But you could. How would I actually? I would probably say you'd want a insert that's round, an insert that's a cylinder, and I would probably go for a groove and notch retention. So because it's simplest mechanically, you have okay. Give me just a second. I don't think I have the capacity to. Let me see. No, I don't think I can share screens on this, and I have been neglecting my StreamYard education. I'm going to get in trouble from Joe Dog. But give me just a second because I'm trying to do some vague artworky things. Now, okay. Actually, I'm going to say being me with a square stock, I would go, and I'm just going to skip that, but, okay. Let me see. Does that show up? It doesn't show up. Give me just a second. My pens are all askew, asunder, or in general not where they're supposed to be because I get scattered and I think on things and then I drop things. And I will tell you that for me, sometimes the ground for such a short guy is quite a way. Here, look, here's a little karambit guy. I wondered where he went. Whoa, no. I bumped my keyboard, so it's trying to cause shenanigans. There we are. Let me darken this up so you guys can have a chance to see it. Understanding that my artwork, when rushed, may not always be the most delicious, but let me just make a little kind of diagram for how you could probably do that. It is not in any way, shape, or form to scale, but now, and we'll just do that and we'll kind of jag it so that that's a blade. Okay. Make it where you can see it. Sorry, guys. You got had a viewer question. You guys know I'll do anything to answer a viewer question, including create an possibly publishable art. Although this is not that. Okay. Haha. Proof my hands are working better than they have been, though. Okay. So let's see if I do it like this, no, that won't. That's too dark blue. I know that color. And we'll go here. I want you guys to be able to tell what's going on. So I'm going to color code this real quick. And I know this is not my normal content, but hey, this happens. And then we'll just do... There we go. Now, what I did is I drew a diagram. Here we go. We'll put that high tech. It's totally not a 4x6 card. Okay, so what you have here, if you want to do a square stock, my fingers are dirty. Well, that's what happens when I'm whittling right before thing. You have the male plug with the blade. I would say go diagonal oriented. So if this is a square from point to point, because that's going to fit much more naturally in your hand. Double-edged will give you a better idea of where the blade alignment is. You may even mark one side. But on the spur that the blade is sticking, you want two nubs. They don't need to be spring-loaded, but they'll fit into matching grooves that counterline. So they go down and they both have a curve. Let me see if I can draw that so it's nice and clear for you. I don't currently have the tools to do this, but that's okay. I don't necessarily need to do it right now. But we'll just do this. And we'll do this. And we'll make that so that you can see that it goes farther down. Okay. Because I understand some of you watch this on your phones, and I don't want my imagery to be too rough to see. But if you're looking down the barrel, so to speak, of the sword cane, and I'm just going to square off the top so that it's apparent if I can, because now I'm getting spasms. So we'll make this quicker. There we go. Sorry about the agonizing squeak of a marker. Make it where it's kind of apparent. Here we go. So what you want is it threaded so that the nubs can come down and click in. So I'm hoping that will help you get, that's how I would make a square sword cane and have the connection work. Now you need inserts, and optimally you want to machine it, but you could easily do it with the right Dremel attachment as well. So I hope that answers the question on how I would make the rudimentary sword connection. Because if it comes down, let me see if I can. I don't know if I'm making sense, but you see this kind of L goes in there, and that should keep retention. So I hope that helps. I can take a picture of this and I'll write some notes on it, and then I'll post it up in the Patreon group for you guys, so that answers your question. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of it depends on your fighting style and how you do things. I do like my knuckle duster because at 12 years of sparring, that thing has saved my life. I mean, okay. Whoa, flashing family pictures again. Anyhow, this is still my favorite practice rapier. You guys have seen it many times. Now, this has a triple knuckle duster. This was done by John Miner. He can do amazing things. But there's not really, there is room, but when you get gloves, it's bare for a trigger. So this is very much a single trigger. It holds, the point of balance is right about here. I'm not going to touch the blade, but after dozens of, I've been fighting with this thing for 20 years. This weapon and I are intimately acquainted. So I can see the appeal. I'm just heinously protective of my hands, which is why, we fall back to my bilbow, because that is still my favorite weapon for, amongst other reasons, how protective it is of my hand. Now, this one is a right-handed one, so you get much more protection right hand, but I like that. I'm very protective of my hand. So this is good protection. Technology solving a problem. I like that. Oh, yes, games and art. Okay, I will definitely do games, and more of my art stuff is, again, that was the basis of my other channel. I missed my normal groove in that one. That sheath didn't feel right. Oh well, it's sheathed that way now. We'll deal with. Oh, that's why it feels wrong. Was doing it backwards. I have to do this. This is literally just an old reversible belt that I had pulled the buckle off to fix somebody else's armor, actually, and they needed the strap. So this serves as a surprisingly successful sheath. Now, want to show you guys something else. And yes, games and art. I will be doing the game crossover stuff. I've got something very special planned. And it will probably not be a live channel. It will be definite POV narration, because that's how I roll. But I don't think it will be live. It'll probably be scripted, assuming I can get the setting right. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. But 1 second. Now, I will be doing another video soon on the importance of the stick. Because the stick, something happened, folks. Something interesting happened to me. And I'm going to have to go into it at depth, but I want to talk about it now. We've got a few minutes before the top of the hour where I talk about the situation. But those of you know, this is my mouse hawk. Now, when you buy a new tomahawk, I'll get into that. When you buy a new tomahawk, or you have to replace the handle on tomahawk, there is a process called seating. And at least that's what it was told to me. It may go by other names, where you are tomahawk handle is wider on the top than the bottom. That's why it doesn't usually need a wedge like a full axe does. But you still have to kind of persuade the wood to be where the head to be firm against the shaft, and you have to do some fine whittling and carving, and get things settled. So what I was doing actually was I needed to tap this down. And so I went out to my yard, because I have a very inconvenient quasi tree, quasi bush, quasi tree that it grows too close to the house, so I cut it down and it grows back up. So I cut a chunk that felt right, because I'm me, and that is actually still in the living room where I was working on it. But about the length of my arm, subtle curve, to bonk, bonk this into alignment, and then I pull it off, whittle off, and do it again until everything sat nice. Then I use some pipe grip repair tape to sturdy up both the top and bottom, because for me this is very much not just I'm going to throw it. This is an EDC kind of I'm going out in the woods. When I have it done, this would definitely be the kind of thing I would take with me for light axe duty, light bushcraft. You know what I mean? Self-defense, I suppose. I still see this as much more of a tool. And even though it's intended for throwing, I'm more likely to use it as an axe because that's what it wants to be. It wants to be a nice little hatchet, a nice little easily retained hatchet. So I put some oil on the handle. I gave it a wrap job. This is by the, I want to say Missouri River Company, and it's just a little mouse hawk. I bought it at Bass Pro Shop for like 20 some odd bucks. But then I had the stick and I'm like, the balance is right. So I ended up sitting, garbage can between my knees, whittling on a stick, and I realized this is meant to be a wooden trainer. And I spent a couple hours slowly whittling uh her whittling the stick down, and it brought me back to where I started. And I still have it tucked away somewhere, but my first sword, quote unquote. Now, I did not start my weapon journey with swords. No, not nowhere near it. I started, well, of course, first with just your basic folding pocket knife as a tool and a splitting maul, not a hand axe, not a hatchet, a splitting maul as my means of employment, as my means of self defense. There was a period in life where I carried that splitting maul around like it was one of my best friends. And I learned a lot from that splitting maul, and I changed a lot with it. I processed unthinkable amounts of wood, got a musculature that's still under the padding to this day, and an understanding and respect. And I will say, outside of something that requires gunpowder or gasoline, there is nothing on God's green earth that makes a teenage boy who's trying to work through a lot of anger and a lot of fear and a lot of issues, as almost all of them are, feel more powerful than a proper splitting maul. And there's very few things better to direct the fury of being unable to change your environment when you've had to endure something than into splitting wood. It's transformative. You're processing something and it's processing you, and warmth comes from all steps in the process. But I also big Robin Hood fan, big, and I shot archery, light grade archery. I still like light archery. I shot, the sword fight, stick fight, but I made a little boken. I made a little boken, kind of a boken, kind of a Euro sword, just a strange little stick because the stick felt right. And I cured it with ivory soap. So I hand carved this boken. I made a duct tape grip and I cured it with ivory soap so it would stay. Sorry, not ivory, not ivory, Irish Spring. I had to think because I could still smell the wood and the soap. It sounds odd, but heated up, it sunk into the wood and it preserved it. It's still in good shape, 30 plus years later, 40 years later. Not 40, not 40. Oh, God. Yeah, 25, 30 years later. But, and I did the goofy, I got a hold of the only sword books I could find, which were, 80s era translated Iaido books in Kenjutsu and a few other things. And I do my version of little katas while balancing on logs that were upended throughout the yard. And it's funny because it was silly and it was looking back, it was incredibly childlike, but I took it very seriously. And I drilled rather seriously with it. Well, I love that thing. I still have it, like I said, tucked away. But I'm sitting here and I'm working on carving, like, this just feels right. I even did a few motions with it. Didn't look right. It's got knots and it's not. No one sane would pick it up and go sword. But I think as I'm sitting there and I'm making another wooden sword, and I've made wooden swords for my son, but actual reducing a stick to a sword, and I'm working on it. It brought me back. It brought me back to a cycle, and you have to look at that. I want to talk about that, and I do see your message, Dark Moon. And I'll contact you with my information because honestly, I understand it's not hard to find. Uh, the the journey to become a master is to embrace the fact you're a student, and you have to rewalk the paths you walked getting there. I'm not out chasing new styles. I'm not out. I mean, I play and I learn because that's fun, but my style is just digging the rut, and understanding the journey as I take it again. I find myself walking through some of the gates that I walked through as a much younger man. Um, how to deal with things like foolishness, how to deal with being wrong, how to deal with being right, how to find the message in what you're trying to learn, uh, peace through solace and solitude. And walking this as I'm sitting here late at night, just working with my neck knife and this chunk of stick, which when it's done, I'll show you. Uh, it's my there we go. It's a journey, and embracing what you don't know and learning from it, folks, is so important. Um, I will tell you, beware, folks, of the people who come claiming to know everything and end all and be all, and they've done it all, and they'll puff up, and you can tell because in conversation, it will always be about their glory, or everything is always uh, aggrandizing them, you know? And you watch for that, folks, because those are the kind of people who think they know. They believe they know. You know, they might even know they know. But at the same time, they haven't just figured out how to know. And part of it is it's embracing and understanding that humility, that you're never going to fully understand uh the art, and there'll always be people better than you. The idea of best is so fleeting and so marginal because you got to look. There's a fitness individual, a guru, kind of model, kind of. Her name's Autumn Ivy. She's very statuesque, but she said something about you have to understand that your best on any given day is not the same. So you might not be able to pull off, something really, really heavily impressive today that you could yesterday or the other way around. And the trick is admitting and understanding, especially with physical things, that you can't. It's very hard to quantitate hard your best. And people who chase that, they may be heroic. They may be a few of them become exemplars, but it's very easy to fall into silver medal syndrome. And what that is if you look at the Olympians, right, the folks who win the Olympics, the medals at the Olympics, of course the gold winners are seemingly the happiest. Oftentimes they're the second happiest. It's kind of surprising. Uh, The bronze medalists are usually because they feel they just got there and they medaled. And that's amazing. And the ones who seem to take it the hardest, ironically, are the silver medalists. Because they don't see they look at they don't see, well, I could have bronzed or I could have golded, you know. I didn't gold, I was this close. And that's dangerous. Because the real thing that nobody wants to admit is sometimes in a given thing, if people are very evenly matched, which hopefully at that level they are, it can boil down to today that was your day. Or today that just wasn't your day. And that is okay. And embracing that, it takes time. It takes humility, and you have to have your ego kind of broken off of you. Sometimes the only way to read the writing is when it's leaked out in your own blood on the floor. And I know that's morbid and it's dark and it's kind of serious, but it's important to understand. I have one opponent, and it's the me that wants to sit on that couch. Every day there is a me who wants to do nothing but sit on that couch. The body aches, the mental damage. We all came through 2020. Wants to just sit and like do everything to be as close to a living void as possible. There's a part that just wants to turn off and not be. That's my enemy. That's my problem. Is I can't be that guy. If all I do, because I've learned more from weakness than strength, folks. If all I do is I get up and I walk around a little bit, I drill a little bit, I'm lapping the guy on the couch. And that perspective, as long as you never allow that to be an excuse, will get you places you can't imagine. Um, there's a poem I want to say by Robert Frost, and I used to have it memorized, and right now I can't even remember the title. It's okay though. But basically, there are two paths that met in the wood, and I took the lesser one, and life's been all the better for it. That has been my uh, my mantra, my decide when in doubt kind of fallback rule, my DC 17. Uh, we all do. Foxy, we all do. And that's okay. And you know what? This is going to shock you. Just like there's always a bigger fish, sometimes the bad guy wins. Sometimes you fail yourself. Often I fail mine. And the irony is when you have to realize it's going to happen. And when it does, the next time you do better. Admit the fault, recognize that it's a fault, recognize that maybe you couldn't. Now, sometimes it's a matter of physical health, you know? Today I just couldn't. And that's a different thing. Fighting your body for anyone with an invisible or visible limitation. Fighting your body is a battle no one else understands. For those of us with depression or anxiety or both, or mania, fighting your own mind is a battlefield that most people can never understand. And we can all support each other, and we should, and we need to. But at the same time, we have to admit we can't do it for each other. And that's been one of the hardest things for me to learn. My pride doesn't come in form of I'm the best there ever was, because I've had any illusions of that beaten out of me. But but I can fix it. I can help. And there are some people who you can't help. And it is possible to do everything. It is possible, and I've done it, to save a life and have them hate you for it in their core, utterly despise you because you had the audacity to save their life. Yeah, and but that, guys, I don't know if anybody's given you permission or the information. One, that you're not alone in that battle. I mean, you're fighting your battle, but you're not the only one fighting that battle. And you have permission to be tired. You have permission to be weak. You have permission to have bad days. Got you. Um, Now, I am a man of humble faith. I have feet of clay and I fail. I consider myself a scrambling sinner trying to get right, but I know I couldn't do it without divine intervention. No, 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 no. I have constant need for a higher power, and I admire the theoretical strength of those who don't. But I've also found that uh, you don't want to do it alone. And if you think you can't, please reach out to somebody. I know that September was Suicide Awareness Month, but for me, every month is Suicide Awareness Month, because I think it's important enough. That's like the ultimate of the bad guys to me. The 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 great lie that tells people that they have no value, that they're useless. Heck, that I'm useless. We all fight it on one level or another. You know, you're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about botched. Lord knows I'm the worst typist on the planet, so I'm not gonna hold that against you. Now, I do want to thank my Patreon members. You guys are why I can keep the lights on. And if you like what I'm doing, please hit the like button and share this. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and ring the bell because I am fighting the algorithm dragon. If you want to know more about my fighting style, Simple Sword is where to start. If you want a brief treatise on the fighting axe, that's what it's for. I do games, I do a lot of things, and I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to try to be of help. Uh, that's probably a strange thing to say, but that's what we're about, folks. Now, it's spooky time, and it is beautiful. So I want to know what kind of things, I am a fiction author. I'm a fantasy author, obviously. I'm a DM, GM, and otherwise storyteller. What kind of things would you like to discuss from a sword mastery angle? I'd love to know it. Um, because I think there's some content there, and last year I think I did some stuff talking about how to fight monsters. And yes, it's fictional, guys. I get that, but it's fun and it's a good mental exercise. I like mental exercises, guys, because you tactical awareness is best built by playing games in your head. Uh, So I would love to know stuff you guys like content on. I'd also know fantasy swords. Let's talk something. I'm gonna throw this at you guys. Fantasy swords. We'll keep it fairly recent. Films, video games. I may not catch the reference, but a fantasy sword you desperately want. How to fight a vampire hunter? Asking for a friend. Johnny, you want me to tell a vampire how to fight a vampire hunter? That is simple, actually. Fighting, I'll do it. I'll do it because for people realize, yeah. First off, you have to think like the antagonist. Okay, I like the protagonist. You have to be your own hero. So there's no rule that says you have to sit down and wait for trouble. Okay. A lot of vampire hunters, they're gonna attack. They're gonna attack during day. They're going to attack at your weakness. That's fine. You, as a vampire, theoretically have the primary knowledge, the primary benefit is not even your supernatural powers. People go, I'm stronger, faster, I can heal most wounds. No, no. You're smarter and you have time. You can win any battlefield I believe that I could win any battle on a battlefield of my choosing with enough time to prepare it. Now, that might, in some cases, require simply Sun Tzu. If you wait alongside the river long enough, the bodies of your enemies will come floating by. But for the vampire, the first thing is you need allies. You got to have daylight guards. You got to have preps. You got to have traps. And you got to think, don't think like a living entity. You don't need to breathe. So make sure that part of getting to wherever you sleep doesn't require breathing. Um, Hit them suddenly, hit them unexpectedly. Um, you don't want the fight to be they're coming to your lair to try it because they're choosing the fight. You want to hit them on a battleground they're not expecting before they get to the fight. Don't mess around. A lot of vampires gloat. You don't have time for that. Gloat after they're dead. Uh, you want to be ruthless. You want to lure them places that, and don't be afraid. Like, okay, a lot of people forget this as antagonists in a story. They have access to all the same rules the heroes do. This is horrifying. The best, most terrifying, powerful heroes are the ones they have access to the same toys the villains do. It's a slippery slope, but don't be afraid to just blow them up. Don't be afraid. And we're talking in story, we're talking in game. This is not literal, real world anything. This is tongue in cheek, folks. So please don't mislabel or misunderstand what I'm saying. This is for the purpose of fantasy. So let's say if you were not an NPC, Johnny, and you were a lesser vampire, because unfortunately you're a lesser vampire with a body hopping trick, and you wanted to run it like a player character. Absolutely. Think that way. Set them up, knock them down. Because a vampire can choose the terrain of their choosing, things that flood the room, gas the room, things that affect them and don't affect you. A good vampire hunter always thinks in terms of, oh, I can't get over there because if I get close, it'll hurt me. Hey, I could douse myself in holy water and then hug a vampire, and it's going to have some problems. Think in that similar scope. Don't be afraid of like noxious gases that you don't need to breathe, so it's not your problem. A vermin you can control. Trust me, there are a lot of things that you can do cheating because you're the bad guy. Da, 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 da. I'm the bad guy. Sorry, Billie Eilish has this Raven energy that I am all okay with. But so yeah, don't fight them fair. Don't fight them the way they want you to fight them, and don't fight them how you expect it. Corrupt their friends, corrupt their family, corrupt their situation. You got to figure vampire hunter has to eat, they have to sleep, they have to go poop, they have to travel by mundane means. Hit them uh hit them where they're weak. Don't hit them in the we're going to have our grand conflict. If you're doing your job right as a true vampire, and no, I haven't thrown this kind of stuff up at my current players much. Uh, hit them in ways they're not expecting. And of course, have allies. Because this will shock you, but vampires can invest. And if they're smart and live long enough and duck, you're selective in your hunting, you're not an idiot, you can have money. And everyone forgets in an RPG, just like the real world, one second, money is a superpower. So you guys want to see me talk about different monsters from a how they would fight. That's fascinating. I'll do it. I mean, I can tap the weapon styles and stuff. I People don't want to talk about, but why aren't there more vampiric snipers? And I mean, longbow, spell, firearm, whatever. You see in the dark, you can scent track things. Why are you engaging them in close? Because the bloodlust. Control yourself. A vampire sniper can wait as long as they need to, certainly compared to a mortal, as long as they're in the shadows. Oh, absolutely, absolutely, Johnny. Um, right now, you know what? Let me explain what's going on, because some of you might not know. Johnny Cage is a viewer and a commenter here, and on the Red Valkyrie Presents channel. I made a vampire based on Johnny as an ongoing sort of mid-boss, tongue-in-cheek, everybody loves it. And he's sort of the whooping boy of the party. Or so they think. Now, I may have long-term plans to do interesting things, because I love to do that. Exactly. And here's the other thing. Figure of vampire speed is usually double that of a mortal equivalent. And that's not even getting into the really crazy stuff. You got your vamp speed, you got your flight, turn to mist. Hit it and quit it, my friends. If you're going to be the bad guy in the game, be the bad guy. Now, why does this matter? Because I'm going to tell you, this logic is the unpleasant side effect of having to be in tactical situations where I've been at a detriment. So you have to use force multipliers. You have to cheat. And you have to be thinking for opportunities to cheat for your goal. And usually my goal has been to survive to see tomorrow with the same number of holes in me I started out with the day before. It's real simple. Very rarely am I on an active acquire uh the MacGuffin. So if you're going to engage people, Johnny, my dad has a saying. Son, he told me, only 2 times you fight. Either when you have no other choice or overwhelming force. Not odds. Force. You either fight because you have no other option, or you fight because you're going to win. Now, I've taken that to mean it is your obligation to avoid fights you can't win. This is where the concept of morale and people forget. Stick it and quit it, hit them and leave. And don't be afraid to hit them and leave with things that will leave surprises. So again, we're going to have fun with this vampire talk because I'm really enjoying it, because it's a mental flexibility exercise. Weaponry, poisons. You're immune to poison, so why aren't you poisoning your weapons? Disease. Second verse, same as the first. You can't catch the gross pox. You're a vampire. You're already dead. But you can bring something with the gross pox in and gift it to the party if they're mortal. I mean, the worst they'll do is cure disease and blow a few spell slots that they can't use throwing things at you. So yeah, if you guys want, I can do for Halloween, Spooktober, being the bad guy. I might just do that. So think in those terms. Choose battles. If they're not prepared to fight underwater, get some benefits. Buy people. Not trusted people. Have contingencies so that if and when they choose to betray you, you can easily have them killed. But buy people, buy hirelings, buy assassins. You can hire assassins to assassinate your party. Yeah. But so keep that in mind. Weapon wise. Assuming you're a vampire, there's a temptation to go, well, I have the strength to carry an uber weapon. Nah. Go speed. Dual wield light weapons. Yes, poison ivy. You don't even have to Awesome. Be ornate. Get some poison ivy, light it on fire. The smoke is very dangerous in game. Again, folks, a reminder, we're talking game theory here. We're not talking this. There are ways to poison your clothes, disease your clothes. Don't be afraid to unleash things like rot grubs or whatever. I mean, be horrific. If you're going to be the monster, be the monster in games. Now, in real life, let's not. Let's be awesome in real life, but why? Okay. The other thing is do your research. You are a vampire. I am a vampire. We're going to go again right into Lord Cage. Lord Cage has gotten sucker punched twice. The whole storming the gate. Nobody told him about the frictionless boat that would be coming in. Nobody told them that the werewolf attack helicopter would be providing air support the second time. You didn't know Dis was an assassin who could shadow step and teleport behind you. Oh, that's awesome, Foxy. Now you know. From a character standpoint and how I'm looking at your character, you are fully aware of the operating motives and means of the party. You could then plan around that. This is a shadow stepping drow. Yeah, you love to skulk in the shadows, but you don't want to if it's against this. You are at a better advantage being out in the open in a bright lit room. Don't be afraid to do it. If you can't walk in the shadows, walk in the light. It's not sun, honey. Okay? But yes, yes, they are. But see, that mentality, if you're going to be a writer and you're writing bad guys, I am so sick of, but the hero must be repentant. The villain, the hero must have a dark secret, and the villain must be repentant. No! Can we get some good guys and bad guys back, please? Mind control can be touch and go, especially with what the party's equipped with, Jim. And hi, Jim! Holy smokes, is that Jim like Jim Robertson? The picture's tiny. Hi, Jim! But yeah, mind control is great. The other thing is mind control, hi, that's James Robertson. You guys have seen him in Sword Fight. I'm so happy he's on tonight. Mind control their loved ones. Don't just have their loved ones go out and kill them. Although the loved ones poisoning somebody, classic. They don't see it coming. You want the battlefield not to be where they're expecting it. But you can use the loved ones to just give you information. Don't play that card too early, but play it often. You want to know what's going on without giving it away. Then you have to prioritize your attacks. So the standard 4-person party is the fighter, the thief, the magic user, and the cleric. They all change. It changes names. It gets more complex. But the core of the 4-party classic. Now, if you do a 5-man band, you get, let me see, the hero, the heart, the big guy, the lancer, and the smart one. Dramatically, that's the 5-man band. Either way, you want to play against each of their weaknesses. Absolutely. So I'm building things. Nothing happens without a reason in my games. And poor Jim has endured my gaming. Not just plan for the dumbest, but don't be afraid to mess them up. And that's the thing. When you go as a villain, if you are planning to be the villain, and it's okay because villains survive. When it's time to be the villain, do the job, and get out. You can monologue after they are completely annihilated, but it's better just to have something you randomly smile about. No one else. Thank you, Jim. If you don't know it, there is a long-standing game I'm now 13, 14 weeks into a 4-hour, roughly 3 to 4 hour a week game session on Red Valkyrie Presents, where some of these fine folks actually have come over. Where I'm running, it started out a basic D&D campaign, but it's set in the same world, 1,000 years before. They're trying to deal with the immediate aftermath of the first Magitech War. And they're dealing with orcs with rocket launchers and big stompy robots, and it's great. Let them be stupid. Okay, if you feel like your players are being dumb, let them be dumb. If that's what they want, remember, the goal, it goes like this. Have fun. My version of gaming, have fun. Then keep to the story. Then keep to the rules. This is a hierarchy. Now, if it gets loose, it has to get loose for everybody. That's okay too. And you have to cater the balance to who you're playing with and how they're playing. And you always want to calibrate, at least keep in mind the least experienced player. Because as long as the least experienced player can have fun, exactly, stupid should hurt, let it hurt, but not too much. We've had that. There was some decapitation of hands. One of the villains is a demon who possessed the cleric's hand for a while. Great fun. So yeah, I guess as part of my videos this October, I'm going to be talking about how to be a better monster. Now let's talk about, again, getting back onto topic. And I love it. I got a gym. This is like a red letter night. Weaponry, like I said, long range sniper. And I mean stupid long, because remember all the dex bonuses you have stack as a vampire. And marksmanship is a trained skill, and it's something you can practice and refine solo. So a vampire, no breathing, stability, and heightened senses. You want to, if you're doing your job right, it isn't fair for the players, because you're going to grassy knoll them. You know what I'm saying? Like click bang. And that's how a vampire can get it done. Yeah, you got to go eat easy food. Assassinate challenging food. Yes, the bard mage likes to cast lightning at short range and fry everyone, including himself. That's stupidity hurting him. I won't say he can't cast the spell. I'm just saying, oh boy's going to get a shock to his system. And we're basing most of the gaming, for the people who ask, out of the basic fantasy RPG, because it's free to download and very, very cheap to buy. And it's my old style of D&D, which looks something like this, blended with 5th Ed. It's actually a really neat system, and it is probably my favorite system that I didn't write. Now, I will tell you, in a few months, or whenever that arc ends, I am planning it, to write with the system I designed for hybrids, a modern setting, different rule system that actually Jim has played in. Believe it or not, the hybrid system was playtest. The system I used, at least in the setting, the tweaks, was playtested with folks by Jim and Steve Clausen, who I hope he's doing okay. I've been worried about him. But they've done a lot of playtesting it, and I have some old adventures I'm going to update to my new thing and bring something back that they know in, we'll say, PDF format. Love you, Jim. But so that's coming down the pipe. I'm not sure when. That's part of the winter projects. I just have to see how the base +2 system is going to run. Yeah, I thought he was this weekend. I thought I was seeing him today, so I hope he's doing good. But I'm glad he's good, and I'm glad you're doing okay. I know you're going through a lot, Jim. But my players have had that happen. Thesis. Never doubt the insanity of my players. But things are going better. Okay, things are going real good, and they're going to continue to go good. And we're about an hour 40 in. But getting back to vampires, long range, that short range, fast and disposable. So you're talking poisoned, disease weapons, thrown weapons. Sorry, I just saw Johnny Cage's comment. But light finesse, fast attack weapons. Yeah, see, and that's the thing. You got to know your party. Jim saying the pally shows up. You don't engage the pally. A pally is a tank. They're short range. You know, they can smite. You want to be out of distance of whatever they're doing, out of line of sight, and you cheat the pally. You don't fight the pally head on. That's what the pally wants. The paladin wants to, I am good and I will smite you. And whatever you do, they're prepped. They're immune to disease. They're immune to a lot of things. They're going to walk in and be walking engines of smite. So you need to either have something designed expressly to deal with the pally as an entity, uh, uh, going back to earlier, this is where your traps are going to be important. You need to break down the party and then take them out. Oh, that reminds me of a cat chick from my past. Anyway, and some people can't roll, and it happens. But the important thing is, did everybody have fun? Have fun, have the story. If they get TPK'd, they get TPK'd. It doesn't. I think this is why Section 0 is so important, because you need to understand. But remember, you know what I also have done from a vampire. Remember, people are weapons. You need to learn as a bad guy to objectify your allies, because it's a vampire. Everyone working them is either a pawn or a blood bag, possibly both. You know? Hey, you know what? And see, that's where you go. You stop. You just let whatever's going on just keeps going on, because I love that. I keep an active sequence of events going around my players. The world does not pause for my players. So when the game's going on and they're doing something here, other things are happening in sequence. So if there's two, they're looking, oh, we can do this, and there's one town saying that they have a goblin problem, and this town says, they've got a kobold problem. We'll go deal with the kobold problem first. They'll go off that. The goblins are taking some sheep, maybe a farmer's daughter, and they'll come back, and that's the sequence of events has happened. Yes, it's more complex. Yes, it's more difficult, but it's so immersive. It's like, this is going to shock you in games, guys, and this is from an old gamer, an old DM, GM, etc. Actions have consequences. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes the party, depending on who you're playing with, and sometimes the hardest thing is when a character's doing something and it's so clever and it's so brilliant and you love the idea, but the numbers just aren't there. And you have to go, no. I hate telling a player no. I hate it. I hate saying, no, you can't. There are rare occasions where it just will not practically work. And it sucks because, like I said, that's the downside to having events steamrolling still. There are ramifications, and it goes both ways. It makes it, for me, more exciting. Well, yeah, and that makes sense. They'll be buried like heroes, but they'll die like traitors. I love it. I love it. Now, see, one great thing, and why I'm going to pull this right back to topic. The best thing, not the best thing, but one of the neatest things about studying Western martial arts or Eastern, but understanding the physicality is it makes your fantasy more believable. And it should. The stuff you understand should affect. Like we've mentioned, um, yeah. I mean, if that's the case, sure. Knowing Bryn, that might work. Love you, Shay. But or set up something that will make provoke in your sake provoke Dis. Dis is a now drow assassin with a, shall we say, caustic personality at times in game. Do something that will embarrass Bryn and provoke humor out of Dis. Now they're squabbling. Now that might not negate either of them, but while they're doing that, that's got that part of the party busy. So you've got the cleric, Kirby, who's doing his whole thing. Maybe you leave something that gets his undivided attention. Positive, negative, it's really not that hard. Then what do? You assassinate the mage. No warning, no niceties. You shank the mage and out. You're not looking for the TPK. What you've done is made it easier to win. Now, if you leave something that blows up on your way out, yay, MacGyver style, Uh, have a little panache as a villain in that case, but think tactically and think in character. A vampire is a civilized beast. It functions best usually in an urbane setting. That's why you get the Castlevania in the castle, or Dracula is not at his most terrifying. Classic Dracula, when he's in his castle in his seat of power. Royal the vampire in his castle, surrounded by minions, the brides of the vampire waiting to feast on the unwary. That's intimidating, but that's not terrifying. What's terrifying is when the vampire is moving unseen through the shadows, when the bodies are piling up and no one's really sure why. The Axeman of New Orleans, the you when you're writing. Exactly. No, that's the mentality. A vampire is a chess player. So if you're writing them, if you're playing them, if you're using them as a trope concept, this is somebody who situational awareness applied cowardice. You're an immortal being. You're not going to age. So you have a lot more at stake than somebody who's going to die at 50, and that pun wasn't on purpose. So just leave. Yes. Sticky Bum, a bad guy, then jump out and walk. Yes. Um, they had a game called GoldenEye where the grenade launcher had a secondary sticky function that could do some very similar things. The trick is not to blow them up when it's easy, blow them up when it's effective in game. But so remember that yes, absolutely. A vampire, the smart vampire realizes one, get good day staff. Two, a lot of undead still can operate in the day. Your ghasts, your ghouls, your zombies, your skelly boys. The sun don't hurt them. So make sure you have plenty of them operating during the day. If you're rich, hire morally scrupulous, you really want that lawful evil crowd, and pay them better than expected. This isn't being moral, this is buying loyalty. You want less Barnabas Collins and more Burke Devlin. Okay? You want treat the people who work for you well enough that they feel appreciated. Even if you're really thinking they're just blood sacks if something goes wrong. They should never ever feel that way. That's how you play the vampire. And again, weaponry, yes, weaponry, body armor. Dear vampire, your main weakness is decapitation and stake through the heart regions. Maybe, and this might be shocking, but you should be wearing some type of very high end second chance body armor. Because I know a lot of vampires. I am walking in my sexy cloak. Look at my glittery abs. No, 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 no. Get that second chance enchanted body armor and don't tell anybody about it. Your body armor works like the concealed weapons you carry. The only people who get to know about them are the ones who are already dead. And you make sure that they're not talkative once they're done. Okay? None of this. I'm going to summon the spirit of my fallen ally to find out what they know. I can't. That's right. Ain't nothing coming back from what I do. So, next week, we're getting toward the end. I'm thinking next week, let me find my notes. Shall we talk about playing the werewolf? And we'll talk about feral werewolves versus alphas and those in control. And remember, guys, just because you're a werewolf and have claws doesn't mean you can't have bigger triggers and guns. Ask yourself as a werewolf the most important question any werewolf can ask themselves. What would Earl Harbinger do? Now, with that, folks, I want to thank you guys because we're winding down to the end of the night. And I know we went way off topic, but I think with the Spookoween starting up early. Oh, did my battery die? My battery died on my little Spookoween guy. That's okay. And the pumpkin invasion anyway occurring. We need to have some fun. So and yes, Fae, vampires and Fae making contracts is just quality gold. Uh demons and vampires gets colorful too, devils and vampires gets colorful too if you're doing things right. But I love the Fae that like holy, unholy, I'm neutral, that has nothing to do with me. I'm gonna feed you to the Jabberwocky now. You know, that being said, the Historical Fencing Guild, guys, is brought to you by the Simple Sword, the Fighting Axe. It's brought to you by my Patreon members who just $1 a month help me keep the lights on and buy trainers. I will be doing a more combative review because you guys are asking on the Priscilla. The sheath is a nightmare. I will be calling Shrod and asking them what they're going to say or do about that, and then I will fill you in. Because this is a nice, bowl of knife. I mean, I like the knife, kinda. Uh, it's not quite what I'm looking for. Yes, I think all for the month of October, if you guys like, I will do a creature feature. So we'll stick to the classics, and next week will be the werewolf. Werewolf, their wolf, their castle. But from the monster's perspective. And should werewolves carry weapons? Absolutely. Guys, they can learn. And we're going to go from that. Now, I wanted to. Oh, God. Deadliest Warrior does not factor enough in. Um, so many techniques and weapons and armor are situational. And people don't talk about that. I got 5 minutes to blow. I'll talk about this. A lot of times you hear the, the knight versus the samurai, or, let's talk ninja. Let's talk ninja, folks. I am annoyed with ninjas, and I've got 5 minutes to be annoyed with ninjas. I get your point. You totally valid thesis. I'm going to ask you, what does a ninja wear? Okay, everybody, breathe deep. Think of a ninja. A large number of you are wrong. Because if you're thinking they wear the all black with the tabi boots and the ninja sword, they're wrong. No. That is only if they're on a specific night mission. Thank you, Johnny Cage. Bonus points. Ninjas wear normal clothes of the setting. So if they, okay, I know, Jim, I know you know. Good God, you're terrifying. Jim is one of those people who I truly believe, if lycanthropy were as contagious and running around, he would be running out, grabbing werewolves by the neck, like, bite me, I need the upgrade, and then getting, as soon as he got it, cutting fence and sorting some people out, and I love him for it. But yeah, you want to blend in. And they used weapons that fit your steel fans, your dagger fans. The reason they trained in deadly uses for agricultural tools are twofold. One, in many cases, the deadly weapons they want to use were illegal. And the first thing that's going to happen is you have a sword. Now you have to deal with the whole guard coming after you. An escalation. You don't want that. Do. If you are, yeah, I know, Jim. You've never failed to be interesting. And oh god, I'm so, like, if it weren't 1,000 years before the setting, letting Stabby loose would be so much fun. But yes, being, guys, prepping like that. Wow, that was cool. I got the whole extra wave factor behind me. Being the ninja, being, you're unseen. So the beggar is unseen, the waiter is unseen, the servant is unseen, the boring accountant is unseen. Oh, but you'd eat this party, and the villains, and the sharktopusses. Oh god. Anyway, I'm tempted. But the the trick is, guys. Yeah. And think about that, because here's the thing. Vampire ninja. You're not going to come in, I am the terror, let me in. Or I'm lovely and beautiful and I'm right outside your second story window. Let me in so we can do bad things. People are going to go, defunk. Jim was a part of the legendary 28 man, person, game to kill Loth, and started as a level 5 halfling and left as like an unholy abomination of upgrades and terror. But let me put it this way, there is a good chance of Jim's character eventually becoming the big bad evil guy 1,000 years after the event. Yes. Where the players are now. Yeah, you start a repairman. Because the one thing is, you don't have to eat them your first time through the door. Get an invitation. Once you've been in there, you can come back later. Or wait for a party. Get your buffet on. Be smart. And that's what I want you guys from. Sometimes I bring up these bizarre RPG scenarios to get your brains to be flexible. Okay. Sometimes to survive, you have to be able to think like a bad guy, and I hate it. I hate that we live in a world where that's necessary. But being able to think like a bad guy lets you predict what bad guys will do to you. So sometimes you got to walk a little bit of a shadowy path to understand where the light is, or at least think about it. The trick is that's a slippery slope, and I don't want you to fall. So, with that, it has been 2 hours, and I have some evening plans with my wife because we have to start our annual nightly reading of A Night in Lonesome October by Roger Zelazny. Thank you guys all for coming out. Yep. Oh god. Now I'm thinking of the Malkavian I ran many, many years ago, Jim. Dang it, Jim! But I do actually have to let you guys go. It's about that time to get some medicine in me. I can feel myself, and I yes, to the person messaged, I know I'm getting a little pale. It's just that time of night. So you guys have a good night. I will see you. Uber Eats you. Oh, that's beautiful. But I will see you guys next week right here at 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I'm on Red Valkyrie Presents from 8:30 roughly. They tend to start a little late to about midnight on Wednesday nights, 12:30. Um, and I want to do midweek videos. My deliveries came late. I was expecting a delivery, so I'll double stack it, and we'll have 2 videos possibly next week if all goes well, assuming the Patreon members don't mind me only giving them a couple, 24 or 48-hour jump on seeing the video before I make it public, which is what I do now for all the non-scripted videos. I try to give them first whack to see it before anybody else does. With that being said, folks, thank you so much. Huge shout out, especially to James Robertson. Jim, I've missed you, brother. And as everything starts to clear up and better days come, I can't wait to see you. Uh, we've dig through the comments, folks. I've got some great links scattered about for Spanish fencing and a few other things. And I hope you guys can enjoy it. Other than that, I will see you next week. So please like, share, subscribe so I can fight the YouTube algorithmic dragon, which while I'm losing, I'm putting up a hell of a fight. Be good to yourselves, folks. Be kind to each other. Keep your guard up. And as always, support your local swordmaster.